Good afternoon and welcome. This is a special edition in relation to the ASX Traders United Facebook page, as promised, because I have actually discussed this in terms of the Bitcoin Cash, I suppose if you want to call it massive movement that has actually occurred over the last couple of weeks. When we think about it, taking a look at this chart here, this was actually discussed in a recent video that was actually published back on the closed business on the 16th. If I just go across quickly there just to show you that particular video there. So the latest crypto chart review on the 16th of June. You can basically see that right there in terms of the video there. So take a look at that. This particular mention of Bitcoin Cash was actually noted around at the 14-minute mark and the 22-minute mark. So cast your eyes on that particular section there in relation to the points of interest that were actually noted in terms of where traders would have been particularly interested in taking a bit of a chunk, I suppose, in terms of Bitcoin Cash at that point where the traders would have actually been interested in trading it. And it was noted around about the $114.47 mark would be where traders were actually interested in. And I thought I'd actually make a particular video about this only for the mere fact of actually taking a look at support and resistance and really just to show how incredibly important support and resistance truly is, and how cryptocurrencies in particular really do respect the support and resistance areas that actually do result in terms of former trading areas with respect to the way traders actually deal with aspects along those lines there. Now, you're probably taking a look at this chart here and saying, wow, there are a lot of lines there. And it's quite okay in terms of taking a look at that. But if you have a look at the entire chart, you'll see that there are a lot of lines, and they result all the way through. So I've just basically had a look through this trading view chart and gone from left to right, essentially, around the area of the main trading area itself, whereabouts a lot of the trading has occurred in recent times, and started from left to right, going into the daily area, and then applying the actual support and resistance areas around the daily highs and lows, as I've been applying throughout all of the areas overall throughout the videos from the beginning of the year. As you've probably been taking note, for anyone who's actually been watching these throughout the year, you would have been seeing where I've been applying support and resistance areas. There's actually a specific video even within this particular series about support and resistances as well. Feel free to take a look at that as well too. But you'll actually notice it all the way through as well in terms of support and resistances throughout. But it really is quite simple in terms of applying support and resistances throughout and everything as well too. And I can actually even just go to a certain area itself. Pardon me. In terms of the cough, I just really cannot seem to shake this cough lately, I must admit. So I do apologise about that. But just going back in time, I suppose, even just to a certain area, I think around about July of 2021, for instance, if we go back to that particular area there, you can actually just see a few areas overall, and I can actually just show overall as well there too. Like if you go all the way back in time, like I had gone and just shown you back before as well, applying the support and resistances there. And then if you go to certain areas in advance in terms of later on down the track and the right, you can really see how price action actually respects those support and resistance areas that you apply all the way back in the far left-hand side of the chart. And it can literally respect it right to the point area, right to the cent, even to certain points as well. Overall, it just really shows the power of the actual charts themselves and the support and resistance areas. So you can really just go extend all the way in the areas themselves. Like you can even go all the way upwards itself. I don't go all the way through, just go to the main areas of whereabouts you actually are trading at that particular point in time, and also a bit further out. So at least that way you've got a bit more of a range that you can actually deal with. But you can really see that it actually does respect certain areas, come back into certain areas, go down to a certain area, and then bounce off it. And then you can also add extra support areas and resistance areas along the way as well too, where it doesn't really conform 100% of the way. But it really does follow quite nicely. And you might also be looking at it and saying, okay, what are the red and the blue lines? They're just my own aspects as well too. If you follow the Australian and American summaries that I do each week as well, you'll notice that I actually do refer to the 10 and the 30-day moving averages as well. This is a daily chart that I'm looking at here as well, and that can give you a good guidance as to whether or not something is extremely bullish or bearish or whatever the case is on the daily chart as well too, and or whether it's in no man's land if it's between the two lines as well too. So that can just give you an idea as to what circumstance is there too. But you can really see it does bounce off these lines that do form from the previous times as well. So I just thought I'd illustrate that as we're actually taking a look through the charts themselves, and it really is quite amazing. Look, take a look at that. That just bounced right off that previous resistance level right at that point, and then just slammed right downwards after that time there as well. And that was back in November 2021. So quite incredible, the power of the charts themselves. So really just taking the time to set up the support and resistance lines can be really, really informative in terms of what potential price action can occur. And then you can actually just drill in a lot closer at the time where it's about to approach a certain support or resistance line, and then be able to potentially predict what may actually occur at that point in time as well when you're actually approaching it right then and there. Okay, so let's now take a look at what our current situation is, where we are right now. So this is it. This is what Bitcoin Cash is doing right now at this point in time, being currently the 1st of July 2023 here in Australian time. It's currently 4:42 p.m. in the afternoon on the Saturday. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way, for anyone over in America right now. It's your entire long weekend over there right now, so enjoy it and have a fantastic time. But what really did happen, and I'm not going to go into too much detail about it all overall in terms of, okay, well, where did this magic number of $114.47 come from before it actually shot off? You can take a look at that previous video that I actually showed up before, which was, like we said, 16th of June 2023. So take a look at that on the charts or on the channel. But in terms of the circumstance overall there, we can zoom in to the 21st of June 2023 and really see exactly what happened at that point. So 21st of June 2023, which we will do. Let's go across to the trusty trading view, 21st of June. Okay, let's go there. And we'll drill down to the 5 minutes on that point. Actually, I think I should have done that after I went to there, so bear with me for a moment. There we go. So this is exactly what happened on that day. So bear in mind, and I'm going to drag the cursor across to the left-hand side, bear in mind that $114.47 that I was referring to. I'm just going to drag that cursor across to there. Actually pretty close, $114.48. So draw your eyes across the right-hand side of the chart right now and take a look at that. $114.48, thereabouts, $114.47. And look at how the chart just took the price of the share, or the price of Bitcoin Cash took off after it hit that $114.47. That was about 3:30 in the afternoon Australian time. It just went right off. And interestingly enough, take a look at all of those resistance levels above that had formed from previous points in time, represented by the blue lines. Went straight through that particular one there at about 125 and went up and hit these ones over here, encountered some resistance. And it just bounced around a few times here, there, and everywhere. Okay, so these were actually quite strong resistance areas. But then again, take a look at it. There's 4 in very, very quick succession, right? So you're expecting to encounter a fair amount of resistance at that particular point in time. And it stayed there for quite some time. So we're looking around about this point here, 4 o'clock in the afternoon here in Australia time. And it stayed around here for quite some time. Now, you've got 4 amounts of resistance points, very, very close proximity between $131.50 and $135.75. See those numbers on the right-hand side, okay? 4 points of resistance within about $5 of each other. It's encountered a fair amount of resistance. It actually touched that to the cent pretty much there, okay? And then it's just basically bounced right back down. Come back down, looks like it was going to try and test this lower area again, but then it's actually just bounced right back upwards again. Really fascinating stuff here, okay? So previous support and resistance really does play a very key role in terms of establishing support and resistance areas, and then to see what happens from that point forth, okay? And that can help you in terms of basically saying, okay, well, if I let that run, or I let that basically raise my stop losses, or whatever the case is, you've got a plan. You can go ahead in time and keep it going, and give it some room to breathe and give it some room to move. These are the kind of things you can do in relation to your trading. So I'm just rotating that and moving it forward. I'll just bring that backwards a little so you can actually see where that's all going. Okay, keep the scale going. So it's just going sideways and keeping on moving between the channel at this point in time. And it's just testing itself and testing itself and testing itself at this moment. It's attempted to break out at that point in time, attempted to break out, and it's not really making much traction at this point all the way through at this stage. So really, it's just kept on going and kept on going and kept on going. And then, interestingly enough, it's gone up and tested a previous resistance level here. Now, ignore the green at this stage. I'll explain what that green is in a moment's time, so don't worry about that right now at this moment. But it's gone up, tested this area at 145.29, gone up there, hasn't really made much traction in terms of movement through that, and then just come back down into a bit of a no man's land area again. And then it's come back down to this area here again too. Okay, no problem. And just moseying along, and then come back down to this area here. But if you've given it room to breathe beneath this area here, you probably wouldn't be too concerned at this stage anyway too. So, okay, no worries. Still going sideways, still going sideways. This is still a matter of days when you think about it. Still looking at the 23rd of June here at this point, okay? So it's still keeping on going sideways, still keeping on going sideways. Probably thinking at this point, okay, is this actually going to do anything? Well, okay, still going along, still going along. And you've still got faith in this particular thing moving along and keeping on going there, well, then actually at this particular point in time, here it goes, and we're just going to minimize this here. And look at this. It just keeps on testing all of these support levels. Well, that was a resistance level there. It successfully tested those resistance levels. They're now support. And then it's now formed, or tested another resistance level, formed the support level here. Resistance then turns into support. Tried to test this level here. Remember, these are all established lines from beforehand. We haven't added any of these lines. These are all from before. It's tested this resistance level. Unsuccessful test here. Come back to the support, the new support level. Tested that resistance level again. Failed it again. Tested it again. Failed it again. Tested it again. Failed it again. But it hasn't come back through this support level here. Noticing all this? Okay. Just following it along. Following it along, these are all established lines. Okay. It's tested that resistance level again. This time, it's actually supported. Then it's failed at this time, but it hasn't come back through here. Okay. Then it's tested, and so forth. It keeps on doing this. Okay. Now we're on the 25th of June, by the way. So this time you might actually be getting a little bit bored by this, but it hasn't actually clunked down beneath this area. So it's still actually fairly good. So if you're holding on to this long term, you're not too worried at this point, right? But you could actually raise your stop levels at this point if you really wanted to as well, if you're in this little bit shorter term. And then it's gone up to the next level. So all of these former resistance levels and support levels are giving you a guidance, if you want to think of it that way. So then it's gone up to the next level. And it hasn't come back into the level down here where the cursor is until here. Gone back here, but then it hasn't gone to the lower level until here. But not very convincingly into this lower level. Then it's gone back into the upper level. Slightly into the lower level, but not too much. And so forth. So you can get the gist as to what goes on here. Now I'm going to just narrow the time frames a little so you can really see what's going on. But then look at that. A bounce up there. And you can really get the gist of exactly what is going on. But these support levels and resistance levels are proving themselves in terms of exactly what is going on throughout the entire process. It sidesteps and tests those support levels, tests the resistance levels, and then works its way through what is happening all the way through. But it's fascinating stuff, isn't it? Okay? Until it finally, and this is where it really shows its mark, goes off. Okay? And this is literally where we are right now. Big question is now, when you think about it, where to from here? Okay? Where to from here? So you can keep on following it through in terms of each of these support areas and resistance areas and keep on working it from there. And then working along those lines there. Now, that was a really, really intricate breakdown of each of those support resistances and resistance levels. And you can see it. That's from a 5-minute chart, taking a look at each individual support and resistance area. That's breaking down that massive move when you see it. Okay? Because that's a pretty massive move over a period of about a week. And by the way, if you held all the way through there, well done to you, okay? Because if you've picked it up from $114, it's now currently trading at $291. Okay, you have more than doubled your money. You've almost tripled it. Okay, so that's absolutely fantastic in terms of the way it is there. Now, going back to this green thing here, this green bar, you might be looking at that and going, oh, what was that? Now, in last week's video, I mentioned that the support level had actually raised itself up to $156.15. Okay, now that was last week's video. All right, that was when we were around about here. Okay, so when we were trading around about the 200 level. So the support level had raised around here. So these things change all the time as well. So obviously that's going to be different as well in this upcoming video. Now you have to remember, this thing shot through from the downside going into the upside very, very fast. Now these support levels, because this green level, when you think about it, was this area of $114.47 that it shot through and went right through on the upside. Now this green area here, I presume will probably be around up here into the support level now, which will be updated in the new video coming up on Sunday, obviously. So stay tuned. Obviously, feel free to subscribe, and at least that way you can keep updated as to what's going on with all the figures as well too. So have a look at all of those kind of things there and see how everything goes along those lines there. I'll keep all the figures updated for you as well. But these things, obviously, you can see how quickly these things can go upwards. They can also quickly go downwards through those support levels as well, just as fast as they can go upwards. So it's important to keep an eye on what the support levels are, because they can just as quickly reverse as well too. It's important to keep an eye on. So where to from here? Now, obviously not financial advice, but have a look in terms of seeing what the circumstance is here. Now, you might be thinking, okay, to yourself, all right, well, having a look at that was actually pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the way the support and resistance levels are. No? I might be happy just to basically see how it all goes from here. If it breaks down beneath here, then I might be a little bit concerned in terms of things there and might want to pull back a little in terms of my holdings. That could be something that you might be thinking of there. Now, look, you've almost tripled your money if you're down here. Pretty good, okay? Maybe consider taking out your initial investment. Something along those lines might be something something to think about. You've taken the risk off the table. That's one way of thinking about things as well too. There's lots of different ways of looking at things overall. But just looking at this daily chart overall too, you can really see how well everything is basically looking at things in terms of respecting support levels and resistance levels, because that's basically just touched through that resistance level. This could be quite a strong resistance level in the grand scheme of things. If you take a look at a 4-hour chart, this makes things really interesting. Okay? This is a really interesting chart on a 4-hour chart, which is where a lot of people look at it from a swing chart perspective. It's really been testing that 317.15 now resistance level. When you think about it, it's wicked up it and failed, wicked up it and failed. So it's failed it twice already so far. And a lot of those wicks on the 4-hour chart have tried to touch it, but have failed to actually reach it at that point there as well. And it's actually now just sitting on that resistance line, support resistance line right here at the 291 level. So it's a very, very fascinating area where it's sitting right now. Will it hold at this support resistance level right now? Maybe, maybe not. But very, very fascinating in terms of whereabouts it's sitting right now. So it depends on your risk tolerance as to how you feel. But there's a lot of volume occurring around this area. So a lot of trade is happening right now. We can also take a look at indicators as well. Currently, it is in what they consider to be an overbought situation. Now, is that going to turn downwards completely? Potentially. There is always that consideration. We also can see that the bullish sentiment in terms of the blue is still above, but it is weakening. That's what that ADX line is there. So it is weakening potentially. So that may actually have a bit of an indication as to what could be going on here as well. Now, obviously, in terms of the overbought situation, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to continue to be overbought. Take a look over here. This was overbought back here. Does it necessarily mean it's completely overbought and it's going to come down? Not necessarily. Look what happened here. It just went right through, didn't it? Okay, so anything is still possible in terms of movement. It's not always easy to predict exactly what will happen. These are the kind of things to consider in terms of your own position. So have a look at your own position in terms of your own situation there in the grand scheme of things. But I thought I'd just give this update overall. It's a really, really fascinating area, as you can see. Now, there were also the other cryptocurrencies that were discussed in terms of potential trader interest in different areas there as well. Let me just take a look at my notes in terms of points of interest there. I think I actually did highlight them on a couple of these charts here as well, which really did shine through. Litecoin, there was that potential area of interest around about the 85.44. It did actually activate through that. You can see that. The 85.44 was mentioned back on that 16th of June as well. Oh, sorry, yeah, 16th of June, that's right, the date. So take a look at that as well too, in terms of the actual video. And it actually has performed quite well, as you can see, done quite well through that area. Beautiful green bar there, as you can see there too. So that's quite good. Obviously, this green area here of support will probably be raised as well. So obviously, take a think about subscribing as well to keep updated with the details there as well. Now, the other one's probably a little bit more unstable, I would say, taking a look at these charts. They have activated to an extent, but not to the same kind of extent. So in terms of Polkadot, for instance, that did activate. So it was in play, but even looking back at that video on the 16th of June, I was even saying, even back then, may not be taking off. It doesn't seem to be as strong as some of the other ones that have actually gone off, like Ethereum and Bitcoin and so forth there. But Polkadot was in play in terms of $4.88 at the time, and it has actually gone off pretty well. But it's one of those ones which doesn't look as though it's really taking off all that well. Same with Dogecoin. Dogecoin, however you want to say it. So that one, the area of interest was 0.06502, and that took off through that, but doesn't really seem to be gaining all that much traction through that. And then there was Cardano and Solana. Now, Cardano has not taken off at all. It's still within that green zone, hasn't breached it at all. And Solana has breached it, but it hasn't taken off very well at all. And probably the reason behind that is when you look at it, this DMI has not really gone off in a bullish way whatsoever. The indications have not really taken off at all there. But, it looks as though some people may have actually made some profits out of it because it has actually gone above that 1777 level of area of interest that was actually mentioned in that video on the 16th of June. So it did actually breach that area, has gone above it. It's still actually above it too. So people can still take their profits from it, even though it's not really firing off well. So there's a lot of scope in terms of the technical analysis that actually does come out of all of this. And it's just going to show that there actually is a lot of value out of all of this. So I thought I'd just make this video here and see in terms of a lot of areas of scope that actually is available there. And also just to highlight the mere fact that there are some support and resistance areas of interest right now, looking even at the 4-hour chart. Especially in terms of Bitcoin Cash, that could be of areas of interest for anyone who actually is holding that right now. So be sure to subscribe. Feel free to like, obviously, in terms of if you do find this information of use, and share it around with anyone else who may actually have some of these cryptocurrencies on hand as well. There is obviously the Bitcoin and Ethereum themselves. They will be analyzed as well coming up this weekend. So definitely keep up to date in terms of the subscription, so you can actually keep up to date with all of the levels of importance as well for yourself and any holdings you may have. And I hope these analyses actually are helping you as well, and helping out any of your friends and family who may actually find them useful too. I shall leave it there for now. Go and enjoy your Thanksgiving with the rest of your family and friends, and have a fantastic time there with that. For all of us here in Australia, obviously enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I shall catch up with you again soon. Thanks for your time, and thanks for sharing that with me this weekend. And I'll go ahead and prepare the rest of the details for the analysis for the week. Take care. Catch up with you soon, indeed. Bye for now.